said the number one driver of happiness is vocation. You're one guy that will understand this. If that's true, in the next 10 years, we're in deep trouble.
We're headed toward a really interesting time in human history. It's both scary and fascinating. So some people shorthand for this as the Uberization of the economy. I think the simpler way to think about it is just the average duration of people's jobs or their relationship at a firm is going to get shorter than ever before in human history. So let's go macro for a minute. Hunter-gatherers throughout most of human history, you don't have any conception of what your job is. You pursue that buffalo, right? And then 10,000 years ago, people settled down and started planting and harvesting, and we began to farm on a regular cycle. And from 10,000 years ago till 150 years ago, nobody had job choice. They just did what grandma and grandpa and mom and dad and aunts and uncles had done forever, eternity past. With the Industrial Revolution, we get job specialization, and it was really disruptive. But when people took a job, they still kept it till death or retirement. Not everybody graduated high school at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. By the end, almost everybody does. But you still get one job at some time between 15 and 22 years old, and you keep it for all of your life. I was born in the 1970s. Average duration at a firm for a primary breadwinner then was still 26 years. Now it's 4 years and getting shorter, and it's going to get shorter forevermore. McKinsey, a firm I used to work with, believes that 50% of the American labor market by 3 years from now, this is not 20 years in the future, 3 years from now, they think 50% of the labor market will be primarily freelancers, meaning that most people will cobble together a bunch of different jobs. Not all of them are going to be app-enabled tech jobs like being an Uber driver with the right software that makes you more efficient than an old-school cabbie. But what's really going to happen is we're going to head toward a world where people are going to get disrupted out of their jobs at age 40 and 45 and 50 and 55 forevermore. We've never, ever done that in human history. And so it means all of the angst of what's often called now the quarter-life crisis, this sort of late adolescence crisis of trying to figure out your role in life and how do you go from just being a consumer in mom and dad's house to being a producer that can not just put bread on the table for your kids, but can actually have a sense of meaning that you're serving your neighbor. That disruption that most people know in late adolescence, we're going to experience that again every 3 to 5 years for our whole life. And that means there's a lot of new potential for upheaval and frankly for unhappiness. There's going to be more economic output than has ever been produced before in human history, but it's not at all clear that it will redound to the median family and the median household and the median worker. We're going to have to become a civilization of lifelong workers, able to get retrained when you're 40. Nobody's ever done that before.
Okay, so there's about an hour of questions just on that one, but I've got about 3 minutes left. Can you give me your take on the first real political upheaval that we're going to see that I think by 2020 it could change everything, could start global wars, deep fakes?
Yeah. So one of the reasons I wrote them is because I spent a lot of time on intelligence issues. And in the intel community, there are people who talk about the perfect storm of deep fakes that we have coming. And the storm is these three ingredients. Number one, new technology makes it possible to sort of narrowcast a world with fake audio and fake video where lots of people can be susceptible to being sort of spoofed or persuaded that things that aren't real are real. There's always been enemies doing malicious act or, information warfare since the beginning of time. You can find it in Proverbs and Ecclesiastes to sow discord in an enemy's tent. But it used to require a prostitute and a honey trap and a fake business partner and a bribery scheme and a bar, right? You had to get people around people. Number one is now we can use technology to surround someone and give them a fake experience, and deep audio and deep video, or fake audio and fake video that are going to seem real are going to make that possible. Number two, Russia is already trying this constantly against us. They're just bad at it. The real reason we need to take the Russia-type investigation so seriously is because China is right behind them running scout team offense on them and ready to do big deep fakes, hybrid war information operations against American leaders and business officials and the public at large. And number three, we have so many internal divisions about geography, about race, about about gender, about guns. There's many, many issues where Americans are so divided that we are susceptible to these kind of campaigns like Russia is already trying to run on social media. They're just not very good at it, where they try to exacerbate and inflame tensions on every side of every issue. The NFL kneeling controversy, majority of the stuff online on social media in the first 72 hours after that flamed last fall, the majority of it on both sides, stand for the anthem and take a knee NFL, most of it was Russian on both sides. And so we're going to have a world where you're going to have things like the Kavanaugh hearings where all of a sudden audio will appear of Schumer strategizing with Michael Avenatti, or video will appear. It'll be fake, but video will appear and it'll be Kavanaugh partying hard as an undergrad at Yale. It'll be fake, but in our echoed silo chambers of the way we consume media right now, it's going to be potentially much more divisive than what we know today. And so one of the reasons I wanted to write Them, Why We Hate Each Other, is an awareness that there's actually national security exposures for this country and how much we hate each other around politics. We need communities of people that live in the same neighborhood that believe lots of stuff in common, even when we differ on politics.